Awesome! Hello everyone! We are going to be doing another arithmetic video today, and we are going to talk about 3 new topics. They are precedence, the use of variables, and reciprocals. Okay, so let's start off with precedence. Now, what is precedence and what does it mean? Okay, so we know that we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide whole numbers, and those operations are what we call them, but they must be carried out in a way that makes sense, or else we're going to get different answers for every question. So for example, if we consider 8 minus 2 times 4 plus 9. So if we go in order here, from left to right, we would do 8 minus 2 first, 8 minus 2, here we'll use a different color, 8 minus 2 first, 8 minus 2 is 6, and then we would do, so we write the rest of that down. Now if we were to do the next step, the next time we'd get 6 times 4, 6 times 4 is 24, and if we add 9 to that, we'd end up with a final answer of 33. Now, that's not the right answer. If we were to plug it into our calculator, so this is my calculator on the screen, I got all my buttons, of course, but if I am to plug this into my calculator, what it's going to end up, bring that back, what that's going to end up spitting out is 9. Now, why do we get a difference between moving from left to right over here and our calculator? That is where precedence comes in, okay? So our calculator is actually running on our rules of precedence, okay? So when we discuss precedence, there's an order in which we are definitely going to work in always. So first, we're going to look at brackets. Okay, so that's, if I have 2 times 4 plus 2, and I've got brackets here, I'm going to do that first. Or, if my brackets are here, I'm going to do 4 plus 2 first. Okay? Our second step is powers and roots, also known as exponents. Okay, so that's anything like square root of 3 or 3 squared. Okay, anything with that, because if we recall, square root of 3 is really just 3 to the 1/2. So again, it's just a power, it's just an exponent, so we're going to look at those second. Third, we're going to look at our multiplication, and division. Now it says multiplication and division, so this means that if we have something like 4 times 2 divided by 7, let's say. That's not going to work out, but we'll say that. Okay, so that means that I can do 4 times 2 first, or I can do 2 divided by 7 first. Okay, usually we're going to work from left to right then. That's what I would suggest, but it is definitely up to you. And then last is our addition and subtraction. So again, the same thing. We could have 7 minus 2 plus 3, and we could do 7 minus 2 first, or we could do 2 plus 3 first, and we'll get the same answer. Okay? So another way we can refer to this as something called bed mass. So if I write that out, bed mass. Okay, and that's because if we see here, brackets is our B, exponents is our E, and then we have, of course, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. Okay, so bed mass is definitely a wonderful thing to use to remember which order we can go in, because all we have to remember is this then. Okay, so if we go to another example, let's say we have 8 minus 2 times 4 plus 9. Okay, so rule of thumb would be to use brackets to split out what we are going to do first. So if I write over here bed mass, okay, so first I'm going to check for any brackets. There's no brackets in this one, so I'm going to leave that alone. There's no exponents, so we'll leave that one alone. We have no division. Oh, we have some multiplication. So we're going to end up doing 2 times 4 first. So what I can do is actually put it in brackets to remind myself that I'm doing that first. And then I have both addition and subtraction. But because that those are together make up rule 4, we don't have to do anything there because it doesn't matter which order we do them in. Okay, so then, taking it from here, it will look like 8 minus, and we know 2 times 4 is 8, so that stays there, and we can leave brackets around it or not, plus 9. Now, we use our addition and subtraction, which again, doesn't matter what order we do it in, so we know 8 minus 8 is 0, plus 9, so 8 minus 2 times 4 plus 9 is equal to 9. And if we were to plug that into a calculator, we would get the right answer. So let's look at a couple more examples here. 5 plus 3 times 3. Okay, so first, we know that we have to do our brackets because of bedness. So we know, again, no, there was no brackets, no exponents, no division. We have multiplication, so we can put brackets around it if need be. So that tells us we need to do it first. So then we'll get 5 plus 3 times 3 is 9. And 5 plus 9 is equal to 14. Okay? Another one. 24 divided by 4 plus 2. And we'll say this is in brackets. So we have bed mass. And now we do have some brackets, so we're going to do that first. So I know that 4 plus 2 is 6. Do I have an exponent? No. Division? Yes. So that's my next step. So 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4. Awesome, so that was another example there. And another one. 5 times 2 squared equals. Okay, so now when we think about bedmas, no brackets, though I do have an exponent. I have this 2 right here. So I'm going to do this portion first. So this is end up going to be looking like 5 times 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. And now no division. Have some multiplication left. So that means that my answer is just 5 times 4, which is 20. Okay, one more example here. 3 times 4 minus 4 squared divided by 2. Okay, So again, if we think about bedmass, I won't write it out this time because we should have it memorized. We need to do our brackets first. So I have a set of brackets here. So what in the bracket's going to get done first. So I know that through, now I have 3 times 4 minus 4. Now again, I have to use bedmass, no brackets, no exponents, but I do have some multiplication. So that means that this is going to get done first, which means I have 12 minus 4 in my brackets, which ends up being 8. So now I can come all the way down from here, and I know that 8 squared divided by 2 is what I'm looking for. So now we go back, we did our brackets, now we need to do our exponents, right here. Okay, so 8 squared is 64. Now I have 64 divided by 2, and that leaves us with an answer of 32. 32. Okay, so it is really as simple as just following bedmass. We're doing our brackets, then whatever's in our brackets, then we look for our exponents, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Okay, just following those steps, and you're good to go. Now, if there is more than one set of brackets, we need to start with the innermost set. So I'll show you what I mean here with this example. If 34 minus 2 times 3, there's one set of brackets, times 6 minus 2 plus 3, and another set of brackets. Okay, so if we were to just look at this by bedmass, we'd know that brackets first. Okay, so let's see, we find this bracket first, and then it wants us to use brackets first within, so we move right here to this one. So we can actually go through logically with bedmass to realize that we start with 6 minus 2, or we could just start with the 6 minus 2, because we know that we start with the innermost brackets. So 6 minus 2 is 4, so then we'd have 34 minus 2 times 3 times 4 plus 3, and this is in brackets. So now bedmass again, we're going to do the brackets first, and within the brackets I have multiplication, so I'm going to do that first, and then I'll add. So I end up with 12 plus 3 in my brackets, which ends up being 15. Okay? So now for this next step, I have 34 minus 2 times, in our brackets we found 15. Okay, now go back to bedmass. No brackets, no exponents, no division, but we have some multiplication here. So that's our next step right there. 2 times 15 is 30. So we end up with 34 minus 30. And of course this is the last thing left, so we can go through with that. And the answer is 4. Okay, so the big thing to remember there, 2 sets of brackets. We're gonna start with the inner set, the blue set. Start. Oh, move that over. Start with the inner set. Okay? That's a big thing to take away from there. The last thing to remember about precedence is, and equations in general, is that sometimes we leave the multiplication symbol out when we use brackets. So, just a quick and easy example. If I have 2 times 4 plus 2, and that's in brackets, sometimes you might see it like this, 2, 4 plus 2, and these are equivalent. They equal each other. Okay, that's the same thing. So if you don't see the sign here, we can assume that they want us to multiply. Okay? So next we're going to talk about the use of variables. The use of variables. So we frequently use letters in mathematics because they allow us to calculate quantities using formulas over and over and over again. And what I mean by that is, if I know that every day or every time that I see grandma, I'm gonna get $5. $5 from grandma. Okay, and I know that, we'll say for every visit. And I know that I'm going to see grandma 4 times that month. Okay, I'm gonna see grandma 4 times. And then I know that it's also my birthday that month, and I'm gonna get $25 from grandma for my birthday. And that's going to be multiplied by how old I am. So this is a basic question that we'd have to make a formula out of. So the big thing to remember here is you're going to see her 4 times for sure. So that is going to be what we call a constant. So a number that's not going to change. Okay, and same here. I'm going to get $25 for sure, but multiplied by how old I am. Okay, so we know $25 is a constant. It's not going to change. And actually, I'm going to switch this up here. $5 from grandma every visit. And we don't know how many times she's visiting. So that changes from a number we know to a number we don't know, just like how old I am. Okay, so that means in this case, the $5 is going to be my constant value. So when I have something like this, I'm going to need something to represent what I don't know. And that's where a variable comes in. Okay? So for a question like this, I would actually look at something like, I get $5 from grandma for every time she visits. Let's say that the time she visits is equal to X. And is add. I'm also going to get $25 multiplied by how old I am, and we'll maybe call that A for age. Okay, so then that would equal money that I'm going to get from grandma. Okay, so it's just remembering that if I just see an equation like this, the 5 and the 25 is something that's set in place, that's not going to change, while the X and the A are my variables that are something that will change. And this means, if this doesn't change from year to year, this means from my first birthday, let's say I saw grandma 7 times, so then my 7 would go where my X is, plus 25 times I'm 1 year old. Now, if nothing changes, when the next year, when I only see grandma 3 times, but I'm 2 years old, I can still find out how much money I'm going to get from grandma. Okay? So the common letters that we use for variables, I used a couple above. X. I used Y is another common one. T, R, V, and H. Okay, I also used A above. You can basically use whatever variable you would like to, as long as it makes sense, okay? And we call these letters variables because they can have different values. So like I showed you above, our X could be 3 or it could be 7. So that makes it a variable. And same with our A. 1 or 2, it's changing, so it's a variable. And again, let numbers like 3, 45, 19, above here, right? 25 we see, and 5. Those are what we call constants. And they can only be that number. We're not going to be changing that. Okay, so some steps to dealing with variables. 1, we want to write the equation out. We want to be able to see the equation. Okay. Okay, and most of the time we're going to get examples, and they're going to want to give us the value of two variables. It's not going to be quite like this question up here. This was a harder example that I gave just to try to explain things. But we're going to write down the equation so we can see it and give us space to work with it, okay? So the second step that I would say is we want to write in our variable values. So if the question gives us x is equal to 2, then every time that I see x, I want to write in a 2 in place of it. Our third step would be to do what we were doing above and take into account precedence. Okay, so adding any brackets you may need in to help you solve that question. And then 4, kind of along the same way, going over bedness and just solving the way that we need to. Okay? So, we'll start with a quick, easy example. So, we want to calculate the value of u plus a times t when u is equal to 2, a is equal to 4, and t is equal to 9. Okay, so the first step that I had said was write down the equation. U is, not equal, u plus at. Okay, my second step, if we look up here, write in the variable values. Okay, so I know u is equal to 2, so I can put in 2. A is equal to 4, I can put in 4. And I know this is a multiplication because I didn't see a sign here. And t is equal to 9. Okay, so now that I've written that in, we're going to check precedence. So bedness. These two steps here kind of go hand in hand. They're kind of the same thing. So from there I know bedness. Brackets, none. So I'm going to probably add some in. Exponents, none. Division, multiplication's in there. So I can add in my brackets to tell me that's what I'm doing first. And then I'll add it in. So that gives me 2 plus 4 times 9 is 36. And then I add, which gives me an answer of 38. Okay? Pretty straightforward. So let's do a couple more examples. We want to calculate the value of 2x plus 3y minus 4xy. And we want x to equal 5 and y to equal 2. Okay, so that's my question. So first step, write the equation out. 3y minus 4xy. Now, what do I notice here? Okay, so, first we want to put in those values. Almost forgot about that. So, I have 2. This is an x, which is 5, plus 3 times, nothing in between there, 3 times 2 minus 4 times 5 times 2. Okay, perfect. So let's check our precedence. I've got some brackets, so I'm going to grab those first. In this first bracket, I have 5 plus 3 times 2. I have some multiplication, so I'm going to do that first. 3 times 2 is 6. 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. Okay, so after that step, it's going to be 2 times 11 minus 4 times 5 times 2. And we can even get rid of these brackets and write times 11 to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Okay, next. No more brackets, no more exponents, no division. Got a lot of multiplication in here. So if we start from the left, we have 2 times 11. We know that's going to happen first. Then on the right side, we have 4 times 5 and 5 times 2. And remember, it can happen kind of in any order. So we can do this one, and then we can do the big one. Okay? So then I have over here 2 times 11 is 22. And then over here I have 4 times 5 is 20. And 20 times 2 is equal to 40. So 40 in that bracket, which means that I end up after that step with 22 minus 40. And that should give us negative 18. Okay, so really straightforward following those. Okay, and then, yeah, before we can move on to fractions, we need to understand what a reciprocal of a number is. So that's what we're going to be moving on to next.